Okay, we're ready to go now and take a look at the second report. This is again part of the Competitive Intelligence Report, Market Snapshot. And what I show on this slide is the bottom half of that report, and it's what I call the bubble chart. And it shows the positioning of your company and all of the other companies in the industry in the area of internet sales and also retail sales. One of your objectives in coming up with a good strategy is to be different. You want to get away from where everyone else is. And what this bubble chart shows you is your positioning on two different elements. The vertical element deals with the price and the quality of the shoes, and the horizontal element deals with the breadth of product offering, how many different model styles you offer. And you'll notice in both these, there's a pretty good spread. We want to go where we can be unique and not have too much overlap. If you've got overlap, you end up just cutting each other up with your stiletto. Nobody really is a winner in that kind of a situation. The size of the bubbles tells you what kind of market share you have. So you get a lot of information here in this graphic, and I encourage you to look at that in some detail every time, with every round that you get the results back on. Also, at the bottom of that chart, it shows strengths and weaknesses. And this can be helpful in recalibrating where you want to go in your next round. Now, if you're, as you look at these reports, and this competitive intelligence report, what I showed you before the break and in this section as well, allows you to find out what your competition is doing. And if you get out there 3 or 4 rounds, you'll be able to read their mail, because you'll know exactly where they're going and what they're going to be doing with their pricing and with their different kinds of support that they have to make their product attractive in the marketplace. And then you can respond to that. This is like playing a chess game. You have to think a couple of moves ahead. And the competitive intelligence report in particular is useful for doing that. Now, in the next slide, you'll see that we also have footwear industry reports and company operating reports. The footwear industry reports are kind of financial statements for each of the companies that are competing in your world. And the company operating reports are the unique reports that only you can see what you're doing, nobody else can see what you're doing. And my advice is always not to have it on a file someplace, but actually print out every report, so it'll be easy to tickle through the file and find your information. And make sure you get every one of the reports that's available. So on the next page, you're going to see a copy of the footwear industry report. I'm not going to show you company operating reports because, as I said, those would be unique to a company, and you're going to have to figure those out on your own. But with the footwear industry report, you'll see in the first slide on this, the information on the financial statement. And then on the next slide, you'll see the bottom half of that same report, and this is one of those other numbers that I go to very quickly. It shows some operating ratios. Now, typically in a business, you have the ability on a day-by-day basis to control 4 things: how much cash you've got, how much accounts receivable, how dated they are, how many days of receivables you have outstanding, and how many days payable you have outstanding. If you have a large amount of receivables, it's taking your cash and converting it into something that you can't take to the grocery store and buy groceries with. With accounts payable, the longer you can delay paying your vendor without impacting your credit rating and your commitments to that vendor, the more cash you do have, because you're not taking that cash and paying the vendor. The 4th category, which is always the toughest, is inventory. And again, what you're doing, if you're putting money into inventory, you're taking cash and you're creating shoes. And what you have to be thinking about is, can I take that shoe to the grocery store and buy my groceries with it? So what you want to do is minimize the amount of inventory you have, of course consistent with being able to support your demand. Of those 4, you can predict what your cash, in this game, you can predict what your cash is going to be. You can't control your accounts receivable because the game automatically collect 75% of your receivables in the month following the time of sale, and the remaining 25% in the next 30 days. You have no control over that. In a real business, you control it. You better be controlling it day by day, hour by hour. As far as accounts payable is concerned, we don't have the option of extending our payables and paying a couple days late. The system automatically in this game pays your bills in 30 days. What you do have control over, though, is the amount of inventory you carry. This is the one variable that can really sink your ship if you let it get out of control. In this report that I'm showing you with selected operating statistics, this is the Footwear Industry Report Selected Operating Statistics. You'll see about 2/3 of the way across, from going from left to right, there's a column that says days of inventory. And when you started this game at year 10, you carried 11 days worth of inventory. That was sufficient to meet the demand for your marketplace. If you notice the item that I've got circled there, that represents 700 days worth of inventory, over 2 years worth of inventory sitting in a warehouse. That's unacceptable. I would feel fairly comfortable if you were running 25, maybe even 30 days on the inventory, because getting down to 11 days is a very aggressive approach to inventory. But when it starts getting much above that, I'm looking at taking your cash and investing it in shoes. And as I said, you can't take that to the grocery store to buy groceries. So what you have to do is work to bring down that inventory by making sure there's a balance between what you produce and what you intend to sell. It must be watched day in and day out, and I find more people have trouble with that than anything else. So let's stop right here and let you look at these 3 reports that I've just described and see what you can learn from them.